Here are the most insane times throughout history where one guy, or a tiny group, stood against overwhelming numbers and somehow didn't get completely destroyed. We're starting with the least crazy and working our way up to the most unhinged examples of people refusing to back down. Number 3. Simo Häyhä, the White Death. It's 1939 and Joseph Stalin decides Finland looks nice and easy to conquer. The Soviet Union invades with about 750,000 soldiers. Finland has maybe 300,000. The Soviets have nearly 6,000 tanks. Finland has a handful. The Soviets have over 3,000 aircraft. Finland has just over 100. On paper, this should be a complete massacre, but the Finns have something the Russians don't. A 5'3" farmer with a rifle and absolutely zero chill. His name is Simo Häyhä, and before the war, he was just a quiet guy who worked on his family's farm and loved hunting in the forest near the Russian border. He'd go out shooting foxes, which are notoriously hard to hit because they're small and fast, and he'd win basically every shooting competition he entered. His house was apparently filled with trophies. When he was 17, he joined the Finnish Civil Guard and got military training, but mostly, he just liked being outside with a gun. When the Soviets invaded, Häyhä got called to serve in the 6th Company and was sent to the Kola River. The Winter War, as it's called, was brutal. Temperatures dropped to negative 40 degrees Celsius, and there was snow everywhere. Perfect conditions for a guy who grew up in Finnish wilderness. Häyhä grabbed his Mosin-Nagant rifle, dressed himself in all-white camouflage, and went to work. He'd lie in the snow, completely invisible, and just wait for Soviet soldiers to walk into his line of sight. He never used a scope because scopes fog up in freezing weather, and they reflect sunlight, giving away your position. He used iron sights only. He even put snow in his mouth so his breath wouldn't make steam and reveal where he was hiding. And he built snow mounds in front of his position so the muzzle flash wouldn't kick up snow when he fired. The Soviets started calling him the White Death, and they were terrified of him. Stories spread through their ranks about this ghost who could be anywhere. Soldiers started carrying iron shields into battle to protect themselves from sniper fire, but Häyhä would just shoot them in the kneecaps. The Soviet command sent counter snipers to kill him. They all died. They tried artillery strikes, carpet bombing his suspected positions, but he kept moving and they couldn't pin him down. In just 98 days, Simo Häyhä racked over 500 confirmed kills, making him the deadliest sniper in recorded history. That's an average of 5 kills per day in the middle of winter, with barely any daylight hours. And remember, that's just with a rifle. He also used a submachine gun in close combat, but those kills aren't part of his official sniper count. On March 6, 1940, just 11 days before the war ended, a Soviet soldier finally got him. A bullet hit Häyhä in the jaw, and he fell into a coma for 11 days. Half of his face was blown off. He woke up the day the peace treaty was signed. The Soviets had been forced to negotiate after suffering massive casualties against a much smaller Finnish force. Häyhä survived, recovered over several years, and lived on a farm as a hunter until he died in 2002 at age 96. When asked about if he felt bad about killing so many people, he said, "I did what I was told as well as I could. There would be no Finland unless everyone had done the same." When he asked what made him such a good sniper, his answer was just practice. The guy was just built different. Number 2. The 300 Spartans at Thermopylae. So it's August 480 BC, and the Persian Empire under King Xerxes is marching into Greece with somewhere between 100,000 to 300,000 soldiers. The ancient historian Herodotus claimed millions, but modern historians are like, yeah, that's propaganda. Either way, it's a massive army, and the Greeks are completely screwed if they fight head-on. The Spartans are supposed to send their entire army, but it's the Olympic Games and also this religious festival called the Carneia, and Spartan law says that you can't go to war during these times. So Spartan King Leonidas is like, this is stupid, we're gonna die if we wait. He takes 300 men from his personal bodyguard, the Apace, and heads north to buy some time. Here's what everyone forgets. The 300 Spartans weren't alone. They had around 7,000 other Greek soldiers from different city-states, but nobody remembers those guys because 300 Spartans just sounds way more epic. They set up at Thermopylae, a narrow mountain pass only about 40 to 100 feet wide, which meant that the Persians couldn't use their number advantage. For 2 days, the Greeks held the line. The Persians kept throwing waves at them and the Greeks just kept cutting them down. Then, this local Greek trader named Leonidas showed up and tells Xerxes about a secret mountain path that goes around them. On the 3rd day, Leonidas gets word the Persians found the path and they're flanking them. He tells most of the army to retreat, but he and his 300 Spartans stay behind, along with 700 Thespians and 400 Thebans to cover the retreat. Some say Leonidas stayed because of a prophecy. Others say it was because Spartans never retreat. but most historians think he just wanted to buy time for everyone else. The Greeks march out and fight until they're surrounded. Leonidas dies in the fighting, and the Persians eventually kill everyone with arrows when they can't get close enough. The Persians won, but it cost them thousands of soldiers to kill around 1,400 Greeks, and the delay gave the rest of Greece time to prepare, which led to Persians' defeat at Salamis and Plataea. It took Xerxes 3 days and massive casualties to push through. That's what 1,400 guys managed to do against his entire army. Number 1. 150 British soldiers at Rorke's Drift. On January 22, 1879, in South Africa, the British are fighting the Zulu kingdom in what's called the Anglo-Zulu War. Earlier that day, at a place called Asanawana, 20,000 Zulu warriors completely destroyed a British force, killing over 1,300 soldiers. It was one of the worst defeats in British military history. About 10 miles away, there was a tiny mission station at Rorke's Drift. It's basically just 2 buildings, a hospital and a storehouse, and is being used as a supply depot. The place is commanded by Lieutenant John Chard of the Royal Engineers and Lieutenant Gonville Bromhead, who was in charge of B Company of the 24th Regiment. There's about 150 soldiers total, including some who are sick or wounded in the hospital. Around noon, 2 survivors from Isandlwana come riding in, and they're like, "The Zulus are coming, and there's thousands of them." Chard and Bromhead look at each other and realize they're completely screwed. If they try to run, they'll be caught in the open with wounded men, so they decide to stay and fight. They start piling up bags of corn and biscuit boxes to make walls, turning the mission station into a makeshift fort. At around 4:30 p.m., a force of 3,000 to 4,000 Zulu warriors arrive. These aren't just any warriors, they're battle-hardened soldiers who just won a massive victory hours earlier, and they're carrying weapons taken from dead British soldiers at Asandlwana, including modern rifles. The Zulus attack in waves, trying to overwhelm the defenders, but the British have Martini Henry breech-loading rifles that can fire much faster than the Zulus' old muskets. The fighting is insane. Zulus are climbing over the barricades trying to stab British soldiers with their spears, called Ikluwa, and the British are shooting them at point-blank range and stabbing them with bayonets. The hospital catches fire, and the British soldiers have to evacuate the wounded while fighting off Zulus who are literally breaking through the walls trying to get inside. Lieutenant Chard keeps repositioning his men as the Zulus break through different parts of the defenses. They fall back into tighter positions, making smaller defensive perimeters every time they're about to be overrun. The battle goes on for over 12 hours straight, all through the night. The British are running low on ammunition. They fired 20,000 rounds by the time it's over. Around 4 a.m., the Zulus finally withdraw. They lost somewhere between 350 to 600 men, and about 500 more wounded. The British lost 17 men with 15 more wounded. When Lord Chelmsford relief column shows up the next morning, they find the mission station surrounded by dead Zulu warriors and a completely exhausted British garrison that somehow held odds against roughly 25 to 1. The British government needed a win after the disaster at Asandlwana, so they went all out on the propaganda. 11 Victoria Crosses were awarded to the defenders, the most ever given to one regiment for a single action. The Zulus fought with incredible bravery and skill, but the British had better firearms and defensive positions, and the Zulu attacks came in waves instead of all at once, which let the defenders concentrate their fire. Still, 150 guys holding off 4,000 for over 12 hours is absolutely mental. These are the kind of stories that make you think that maybe being outnumbered isn't always a death sentence. Sometimes, it just means that you're surrounded by targets. Now, if you really enjoyed watching this video, then like it and consider subscribing to the channel, as we will soon be bringing up more anticipated and exciting contents soon in this channel. I'll see you later.